Contrapoints is wrong about gender neutral pronouns. Just wrong. Period. 100% wrong. And I want to be kind of nice about it, but it's hard. Hey, it's Prince of Queens. I had a scripted video, but I don't feel like recording it because it's pretty long, so I'm just going to do this. Contrapoints isn't going away, apparently. I knew that for a while. That's why I made my video about this person a few months ago. Seems like Contrapoints is the new Anita Sarkeesian, or Cat Black, maybe. Seems like Contrapoints might just be the teacher's pet at YouTube. YouTube that definitely doesn't prioritize certain channels in the algorithms at all. No. YouTube is completely a meritocracy from the system down. You know, Susan Wojcicki doesn't play favorites. No, not at all. Contrapoints is popular because Contrapoints makes great videos often, and people really like those videos because they make sense. People can totally follow them, and they know all of the words that Contrapoints uses, and they all think that Contrapoints is a really, really great actress, and is really, really good looking. And I'm not saying Contrapoints is bad looking with the sarcastic thing that I'm sort of doing. Oh my god, Contrapoints is... I refuse to be mean to this person because unlike Cat Black or somebody who actually just was really, really mean and just was saying vicious lies and doxing people very, very frequently by the time I decided to talk a bunch of smack about Cat Black, I don't see Contrapoints as being somebody who is evil or anything. I really, really don't. And, you know, I wanted to talk to Contrapoints, but I was ignored, even though a lot of people wanted to see me talk to Contrapoints. And I would have been perfectly nice if anybody's seen me talk to somebody that I disagree with about things. But I saw Roaming Millennial did a stream with Contrapoints. And I thought that that was interesting because Roaming Millennial and I have fairly similar outlooks on things. I haven't found myself drastically disagreeing with Roaming Millennial about anything ever. I think Roaming Millennial is pretty smart. I would say that I take ideas and extrapolate upon them a little bit more than Roaming Millennial, and maybe that might have been part of the reasons why Contrapoints wasn't willing to talk to me. Because, you know, you want to talk about gender and, like, gender deconstructionism and blah, 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 blah. Roaming Millennial can start, but I can take it there. You know, like, I can take it there and back and around again. I can take you to a place that you've never even heard of. That's a specialty of mine. And Contrapoints is just so wrong about all of it when Contra talks about the legality of whether or not somebody should be mandated to use things like gender neutral pronouns. And Contrapoints is... it's so hard for me to believe that Contrapoints is as unintelligent as this person sounds. Like, it seems to me like this person has an opportunity to make a name for themselves based on this completely meritocratic system that is YouTube in 2018. Contrapoints very, very clearly seems to have this opportunity to make a name for themselves by advocating for a specific set of talking points. And one of those things seems to be this whole gender neutral pronoun, you know, debate that people are having. They were having first in Canada, but they're having it, I guess, for the whole state of California, New York City. It's a kind of a big thing. And Contrapoints just says things that are untrue over and over, like contradicting themselves. It's so funny. Contrapoints. Can we just call this person contradicty points? Because they say things that just aren't true. So, like what? What does Contrapoints say? Well, Contrapoints contradicts themselves basically within the first 5 minutes, right out of the gate. I believe that the statement was, so Contrapoints, do you think that compelled speech, forcing somebody to say a pronoun should be mandated by the law? And Contrapoints is like, oh, I obviously am against any law that would make it, illegal to not say something. Oh, except for when it's trans people. Then yeah. That should be illegal. Yeah. And it's funny. It's just like, oh, that's convenient. Who benefits from that? I suppose anyone who decides to call themselves trans. Interesting. Do I get to do that? Is it too late? I mean, I'm 36. Do I get to be teacher's pet too? Do you think that everybody gets to be teacher's pet, Contra? Like, do you think that people are so dumb that they are never going to figure out that this is just a story that some people are telling? Because if they tell it, they get rich, famous, something like that over it. It will benefit them to say that they're non-binary, gender neutral, transgender. Maybe even some of them benefit from transitioning. I don't know. I want to believe that would never happen. But wait, no, we know that people do detransition, so it's really not that absurd to imagine that there are people thinking to themselves, oh, I'll have power over people if I transition. So what else was Contrapoints wrong about? Contrapoints gets to the point where they were talking about, should this be a law? Is it appropriate to mandate in a university setting? They were talking about Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson's argument is that he doesn't think that there should be a law to demand that a student not be misgendered. And in particular, he was particularly annoyed by these gender-neutral pronouns and the imaginary 76 pronouns and everything. And, why can't the school administration deal with that alleged problem? Why did they need to bring in the state at all? Contrapoints just acts like you can just say that and that it's fine. Like, oh yeah, I think that, it could be considered a form of harassment, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, if somebody's being a jerk, couldn't you go to the dean? It's not that hard to imagine such a scenario. Why is this so impossible of a dilemma to work out that we need to make a new law out of it? Like, all of a sudden, we need this new law. Really? Contra, I know you've studied at university a lot. You've been to many years of school, and it's really hard for me to believe that you've never studied history enough to realize that there's problems with this. It's really, really hard for me to believe. So, yeah, you're just totally wrong about everything, and honestly, this video is not really going to be very great. I largely just wanted to complain about you because I find your ideas completely repulsive as time goes on. I really would like some story arc of you realizing that you're on the wrong side of all of these arguments and getting worse. I'm not sure that that's ever going to happen. I really don't. But maybe that would happen. And for everybody, all of Contrapoints' little fans, little fanboys, little fan MBs that are going to be watching this and want to white knight for your queen or whatever, because you're very, very into doing that. If you're even real, I'm still not convinced. I live in my own little reality where everybody that I like to think is stupid is actually not real people. And I know that that's a naive, childish fantasy a lot of the time, because then sometimes I actually interact with people that I know are real people and they really are that stupid. But yeah, Contrapoints does have some real fans. It's true. I know you guys are going to be very annoyed by me making this video, and I'm almost doing it to annoy you. There's a little part of me that's doing that. I will admit it. What I want you guys to do is go watch my video, Why Gender Neutral Pronouns Are Unacceptable. I'm really nice in it. It's not like this video at all. In this video, I'm mean. I'm totally catty and not rude, and I have a smug superiority complex and blah, 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 blah. I'm not always like that, though. I can write in a neutral tone and be completely pleasant, and I just get into the actual idea about gender neutral pronouns. And I think it's a really toxic thing to demand that people use gender neutral pronouns. And I explain exactly why. Takes about 15 minutes. But if you really legitimately don't understand why, you can go ahead and watch that video. You can. Because it's not the type of thing that you can explain simply. Like, it seems fine until you've really observed this happen over the course of a number of years. And I have. I'm 36. I'm gay. I came out of the closet when I was 14. So that's like 22 years ago. I've known all sorts of people who are legitimately transgender, people who have gone on HRT, who wouldn't for a long time because they were afraid of the health risks. I've known people that have detransitioned. I've just known hundreds and hundreds of people that have had various forms of dysphoria, and even some intersex people. I've met hermaphrodites. I can assure you that this whole like gender neutral thing where people can just assign themselves to be gender. Oh, and that's another thing. Contrapoints lied. Contrapoints said something that was a bold-faced lie, and I know Contrapoints knows it's a lie. I know it in the pit of my heart. I don't know because I have not gotten explicit confirmation. But Contrapoints said that there's very few non-binary people, that there's even less non-binary people than transgender people. That's just not true. That is so untrue. There are so many people who call themselves non-binary. So many. Like, the only reason that anybody would possibly say that is because there isn't an option on some sort of census anywhere to say non-binary. But there's so many people that claim to be non-binary because reasons. There's so many. Way more than people who actually transition. Because if you're going to be non-binary, you don't have to do anything. So, that whole thing where people are deciding that they can classify themselves that way, there's something really, really manipulative about it. Like go watch the video and I'll explain it. Man, I can only imagine all of Contrapoint's little fanboys, fan MBs listening to this. They hate me right now. I bet they really, really hate me. And this is not me at my most charming. This is me being annoyed and just not caring very much. Like, I don't care. This is how I am when you hang out with me sometimes. Like, if I don't really drink anymore, but if I'm having beers and hanging out with my friends, this is what I act like. Maybe that's why I don't have any friends. No, I do actually have friends. It's kind of a strange world that we live in. All right, talk to you later.